Hey folks, and welcome to the Recruiting Masters Podcast, episode 19, brought to you by the CFC Insider. I'm Katie Burt, content manager for CanadaFootballChat.com, alongside Clint Uttley, lead analyst and head of the CFC Scouting Bureau, and a former U Sports head coach. Clint, how are you?
Good. Yourself?
I'm good. So, we're kind of winding down, getting to the end of June. Kids are going crazy, teachers are going crazy, coaches, footballs, pretty much winded down except for the summer leagues, I guess, are still going on. And I'm not really sure where part of they just starting in the mid-season. Where are they in Ontario? Do you remember?
I'm pretty sure they would probably be at the 1/3 mark. Like they've probably done camp and played a few weeks. I know that the season usually lasts most of the summer, and I think they usually try and get it done before the camps or the U Sports camps kick off. So they would be well into their seasons, to answer your question.
So we're gonna today we're gonna be talking about 12 new prospects. We've talked about a few of them slightly, including specialists, so kicker punters. You might want to tune into this episode, as well as offer that guy. And just kind of, again, as I said, with June, we're starting our CFC50 high school team previews. So we're just going to quickly go over how last season finished off for the top 10 and getting ready for the new high school season. So be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, @ChatFootball, Instagram, CFC_football, and YouTube. You can hit the subscribe button on your YouTube channel so that we can increase the features that come along with increased subscriptions. And don't forget to sign up for your exclusive CFC Insider membership today. Just hit the subscribe button for access to rankings, analysis, and all the great daily football recruiting news across Canada. So, Clint, let's just quickly go into the CFC50 high school ranking. Those of you who aren't familiar, we do every week during the high school season, we rank the top 50 programs across Canada, ranging because every province has their own type of division. So we just rank the top tiered divisions. And you can go on our rankings tab on CanadaFootballChat.com to see the criteria for the rankings. It's there at the bottom of every ranking. So last year, the end of 2018 season, obviously St. Thomas More earned the number 1 spot again. They're twice in a row. Out of Hamilton, and then, St. Francis Brown from Calgary, Harry Ainley from Edmonton, Holy Names in Windsor, Colin Jeanudes in Montreal, Vincent Massey in Winnipeg, Mount Doug in Victoria, Miller in Regina, and Catholic Central in the London, Ontario area, as well as Holy Trinity in Courtice. So these teams, like I said, we're starting our team previews, which will be coming out starting next week. Clint, let's just do a little quick forecast of what do you think is going to happen next year?
Well, just looking at the names that make up the list and the kind of the regular names, my kind of opinion on this is that I really think there's probably the top 50 programs that we push out as part of that high school list. I would say the top, 35 to 40 are probably the most legitimate programs in the country, and they're probably on the list more often than not. So I don't see a lot of change. I've seen a lot of film on STM, and let's be honest, they've basically gone back to back from start to finish the last 2 years. So I mean, they climbed into number 1 like 2 years ago, and then they went start to finish, which is extremely hard to do. And if you watch them play, they are as advertised. They make big plays on offense. Their defense looks super stingy. They seem to run some of those pressure schemes that were kind of popular in the CFL, back in the day, the 7-up and the flat top or whatever you want to call it. So, and then there's just all the regular characters. There's the St. Francis Browns, who always seem to dominate Calgary, along with Notre Dame the odd time, and Harry Ainley and Salisbury and Edmonton, and on it goes. And in Winnipeg, it seems to always be, recently it's St. Paul's, and then somebody else. And right now, that somebody else happens to be Vincent Massey.
Yeah.
and just kind of, I'm just going off the top of my head, not necessarily in sequence here. In the Maritimes, it's always Tantramar, New Brunswick, and it's always the Citadel and Nova Scotia, right?
Halifax, yeah.
And then it's, when you go into that juvenile, that Sec 3 through 5 deal in Quebec.
I mean, last season was exciting in that Quebec area.
Last season was exciting. We have a contributor here on the website who seems to think that 6 of those teams are highly competitive and kind of deserve to be in or on our list. So, just judging football as a whole in Quebec, you probably have a tendency to agree with them because there's no arguing the brand of football in Quebec is one of the top kind of football hotbeds in all of Canada. And then the rest of them, there's so many different ones in Ontario. Not so many, but there's more just because of population. But you always see CCH, and you always see Holy Names, and you always see the Huron Heights. You always see the Herman Griffiths. So yeah, it's all of the regular power programs from across the country. And the reason they're power programs is because they've either had their infrastructure in place for a long time, Huron Heights, and say Herman, to just like well-structured, well-run programs all across the country. For example, in BC, you got Vancouver College and you got Mount Doug. Vancouver College comes up storming every year and does their thing, and then Mount Doug seems to get hot.
Yeah.
Judging by their, was it their 7th provincial title this last year? 8?
It's up there.
Yeah, that's enough, Mark. Why don't you share the wealth there, buddy?
Yeah, Coach Townsend. Come on, man.
Anyways, so yeah, it's all the regulars. I would be remiss if I did not mention the mighty Hyaks from New Westminster.
Oh, jeez.
What do you think of that, Farhan?
Tell your own horn.
Anyways, there's the top 50 programs. I would say if you dive into it, there's 40, and they're legitimate. They're the top programs in the country for a reason. They get good athletes, they have good coaches, and they actually run them like programs.
So if you want to check out those team previews coming up, we've got them coming in, so we're starting to work on those, and they will be coming out. So you'll really want to get your CFC Insider membership to read those team previews, just to see what we're in for come this fall. It's going to be really exciting. So, like I said, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter @ChatFootball, and Instagram CFC_football for all this great stuff that we're going to be talking about. So let's get right into these prospects, Clint. The first one up that we've got is a defensive back, Isaac Sardo. He's a 2021 kid, 6'4", 180 pounds. He's from Bishop Bryan. So I know you love those DBs who are 6'4", 180. You just your eyes just kind of glaze over, and I'm sure all the other coaches do the same. This is a big, tall, long-levered athlete who plays both sides of the ball. And we know that he's the son of a football coach, so we're assuming that he probably has a pretty good football IQ.
Yeah, you know what? Just building on your point, 6'4" DB, we don't see a lot of them, but any defensive back who's over 6 feet tall or 6'1".
And he's 2021, so he's already there.
We get super excited. Like the first thing I think of after I see a 6'1" DB is, can he backpedal and flip his hips? And it's like, if he can backpedal and flip his hips, well, you know what? He's probably got something. Well, Isaac is not far off. And like you just said, he's 2 years out. He's 6'4". He's 180 pounds. He plays both. It was more like a halfback free safety in the 12-man or the Canadian game. And he also plays like a slot or inside receiver, which is different in the 12-man game. But when I look at him, I see like possibly a linebacker. If he was to stay on offense, probably be filling out as a tight end. But I just see a good football player who has the things that you can't teach. And when I say that, I mean he's 6'4". And you can teach kids how to run, but you can't teach them how to have a massive wingspan and be 6'4". You can't teach that. So that's why he jumped out to us. And that's why as we kind of redo our lists, Isaac may have an appearance on the CFC 100 for his grad year, which you said is 2021.
So the next prospect is the next 3 prospects actually are specialists. We've got kicker punter Zack Kopplin. 2021, 6'2", 185 pounds, out of Parkside Collegiate in Ontario. He was a part of our CFC prospect game that we had in June, and did a great job. But this kid is also super athletic. He ran a 4.7 laser time in the tryouts leading into the game, to go along with a 30.6 vertical jump and a 36-inch Powerball toss. So what do you think of Zack?
34. That 34 feet was his Powerball, not inches.
Yeah,
just
sorry.
to correct you.
Yeah.
But the other two numbers, they would, if I heard them, I wouldn't even have heard the third number. So, I mean, Zack, you threw the ball 36 inches. That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, it was 36 feet.
That's my bad.
So, yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, it's a. But the most impressive number of all of them is, well, first of all, go all the way back to the left. He's 6'2", 185 pounds. But I've never seen a punter run a 4.7 laser time. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure some NFL scouts have seen that or whomever. But literally at the combine or the tryouts, he lined up and ran faster than some of the wide receivers. And I was just I didn't think he was the kicker because, I mean, forgive me for being an old soul, but kickers aren't athletic. However,
they are players.
They are. Okay, but the kickers we have on our list today are very athletic, and Zack would probably be the most athletic. He had a chance to punt in the prospect game, and he did not fail. The kicks where he got a clean snap, right? The kicks where he got a clean snap, he shelled a couple. He hit a couple of balls that it looked like a pro kick. So I mean, he did a really good job, and I mean, just for me, I look at the numbers, and the numbers translate, and the frame translates. I don't see why Zack. I'm kind of thinking that if he was to focus on one or the other, it might be on as a punter. So I mean, but yeah, legitimate kicker/punter. More specifically for me, punter prospect. I mean, Zack Kopplin is from what I've seen, he'll be one of the top, say, 3 to 5 punters in all of Canada.
And then we have another kicker punter, Oliver Griffiths, 2020, 6'3", 190 pounds, from London Central in Ontario. We think he might have one of the more powerful legs out of the prospects that we're going to be talking about from a field goal perspective.
Yeah, he seemed when we him and Zack were actually on the same team in the prospect game, and Zack handled the punting duties. Griffiths handled the kicking duties, and I think that was kind of the best case scenarios for both of them from what I saw. But Oliver did a great job as well. He gives me opportunities in the game. I think he only had one extra point and maybe one field goal opportunity because there are no kickoffs in that game. But he did a really good job. And like Zack, I mean, he didn't run the 4.7. He ran a 5.11. But which was really interesting is at his 6'3", 190 pound frame, he actually threw, or in the Powerball, he threw it for 37 feet, which would tell me he has a lot of lower body strength. It just has a lot of strength.
Yeah.
Because the 37, I think, was the second highest.
39 was the highest, I believe.
Yeah, and that was an offensive lineman from Windsor.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but yeah, just two really good kickers. The kickers we're going to talk about today are all athletes. So, I mean, Oliver did a really good job. Really good field goal prospect, field goal kicker prospect. But yeah, and the great thing about the kickers we're going to talk about today is it is very much a craft to them. They got a really good coach in Wheeler, but they also take it uber serious.
They do, yeah.
This is golf for them, so this is the game inside the game. And when you kind of see that and they specialize and they're working on their craft and they're super serious about it, I would say Kopplin and Griffiths would be some of the top prospects in all of Canada. And I mean, maybe they get a shot down south, but if not, I'm pretty sure every U Sports school would be on them because, it's not like the kicking game is huge in 3-down football. That's called sarcasm.
Yeah. The next prospect is super intriguing. He's 6'5", 225 pounds. He's out of Quebec, Vieux Montreal, and he's more a punter. Yuri Gauthier. Sorry if I've pronounced that wrong, but he doubles as an inside receiver, which tells you that he's plenty athletic. But you put this kid on our list to talk about today. What do you like about him? Obviously, other than his measurables.
We were just looking for because we're at the final stages of building the kickers list, the kicker punters list, the specialist list, which is going to have say between 10 and 15 kickers on it, and we're going to rank them. And we found some really good ones. But you know what? We were just going through the RSEQ stats. We were going through AAA, AA for CGIP. And he led the CGIP, AAA CGIP last year in punting with 43.7 yards per kick. And he was booming them, and it didn't look like he was really
struggling.
Not struggling. It's like I don't know if he really focuses on being a punter. I think it's just all natural at this point. So it's like you see the 6'5", you see the 225, you see the over 40 yards per kick or punt. And then you just kind of, the fact that he had catches and got reps as an inside receiver at View would tell me he's uber athletic. View's kind of made that bounce back. They're historically they're one of the best programs in AAA CGIP football. So I mean, the fact that you were recruited to View and you're getting some reps and some touches and some catches and some TDs tells me you're probably super athletic. 6'5", 225, and you led the AAA CGIP in punting. You're probably going to be on our list, or at least you're going to move on to the CFC50 list on the next edition.
Mm-hmm. So to hear about the next 8 prospects as well as offer that guy, sign up for your CFC Insider membership today. Just click the subscribe button on CanadaFootballChat.com and you can continue to hear about all these great up-and-coming players.